What is happening, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. It has been a long time since I have made any kind of YouTube video, yet alone a video of the Subi. I have definitely missed making videos. I have definitely missed driving this car, as it's been, I think we're going on like 2.5 years now since I have driven this thing, which totally sucks. That's what we're doing here today. Is I could go into, you know, what happened to my car, why I haven't been driving it, and why I haven't been doing anything yet, and I guess ultimately what my plan is with the car here moving forward. So that is kind of what I wanted to get into, at least in this video, and then I'm planning to make hopefully future videos from here on the whole process, more or less a starting point of this whole hopefully journey here moving forward. But yeah, I guess to get into things, this thing is looking a little bit dusty. I did actually give it a wash last summer, so about a year ago, but just sitting throughout the winter, you can see just the amount of dust it has collected. I definitely want to push this thing out and give it a good wash, and actually thinking of doing a full wash on the engine bay, which we'll get into later here in this video. But I think for now, we should sit down for this. Holy, it has been a minute since I've sat in here. This is a surreal feeling, that is for sure. Anyway, I haven't done any updates anywhere when it comes to my car, besides I did make one Instagram post, I think a year ago now, when my whole engine had been pulled by the shop. Besides that one Instagram post, I really haven't said anything regarding the car and what ended up happening. Really just put on hold for the last couple years while I kind of figure out what I want to do, and also just save money for what I want to do. But what ended up happening to my 2007 STi, I was actually coming up a bit of a steep hill when you come into downtown, and all of a sudden I noticed my temperature gauge just steadily start to shoot up. And so basically, as soon as I got up this hill, I pulled over as soon as I could and shut off my car, and we were actually headed out for dinner with my fiance's family that night. Headed to dinner, and so we let the car basically cool down for the couple hours. That's when I ultimately discovered that I ended up having a coolant leak. Just over time, having not checking my coolant, you know, starving the system of coolant, and having not realized that, ultimately it would make sense why my car decided to overheat one day, especially coming up a steep hill. I guess a lot of this really came down to my error and obviously not checking my coolant levels, which is a reminder to everyone. Just like you check your oil levels every so often, make sure you're checking your coolant levels. I made the mistake of basically assuming that when I glanced at the coolant reservoir tank, which sits directly on the side of the radiator, my coolant levels always appeared to be above the minimum line and between the maximum line, kind of like right in the middle there. And so at a glance, it always seemed like my coolant was good. Little did I know, and as soon as I figured out, it made total sense. And I'm telling everyone else this because I think it's, you know, a good reminder. Say you went and bought a fountain pop. First sip of that refreshing cold Coke, and you discovered that there's a crack in the side of your straw, and when you go to take a sip, you're not getting a Coke, you're just getting majority air. And I guess it's a very similar concept. Because my coolant system was so low of coolant, it means that it was so full of air. And because it had so much air in the system, it now lacked the capabilities of sucking up whatever coolant remained in that reservoir tank. So no matter what time of day or whenever I happened to go look at the reservoir tank, there was always going to be coolant in there, because the system was never going to have, I guess, the strength of sucking up that last bit of coolant. And so from my perspective, I would have assumed, okay, if my coolant was low in the reservoir tank, that would be a sign that, okay, that I need to fill something up. And because that level never changed, I never thought to check my coolant. And had I only went to go actually open up the cap, I would have instantly discovered that the system was dry inside. Especially on these systems, there's like several areas where ultimately you could access the coolant. Like there's the reservoir tank on the side of the radiator. There is the cap on the radiator itself. And then there's also your upper fill point or whatever. There's a little bottle nearby where the turbo sits. That's where you would ultimately fill your coolant from because it's the highest point. But yeah, had I checked that uppermost cap, I would have realized that I would have needed to top it off. So that's maybe a lesson for anyone out there that hopefully you can prevent the same kind of mistake that maybe I made. Ultimately, what ended up happening was once I took it into the shop, they ended up conducting their test. They did like a pressure test and a leak down test, and that's when they discovered ultimately the small coolant leak, where obviously the coolant would have been dripping from. They discovered that when they ran the compression test, they discovered that in cylinder, I believe it was cylinder 2, it was slightly lower than the other 3. So basically when my car ended up overheating, what likely would have ended up happening when it got too hot, one of the heads likely would have warped from the heat. And when it warped, it probably lifted, creating that tiny bit of a leak in the seal. And so hence why ultimately, in order to fix my problem, they ended up having to pull the whole engine. They'll end up having to pull the heads, send them off to a machine shop, have them do their servicing, send them back, get new head gaskets, get new head studs, and do all of that work. So you can imagine it's quite a big bill. And I guess just to document everything and to be upfront about everything, I think I was quoted around $7,000 something or just under $8,000 basically to, pull the engine and basically do all that work and put the engine back in. And so at that rate, you can imagine that's a lot of money just to, I guess you have upgraded head gaskets and head studs at that point. But at the end of the day, you still have your stock engine, right? You haven't changed anything. You just basically got your car back and you spent a whole lot of money in doing so. And I guess just a 2-second backstory, if you've never, followed me on any of my social medias. I've owned this car now for it's been 12 or 13 years. And I bought it when it was completely stock. And this was my absolute dream car when I bought it. And to this day, I absolutely love this car and I never want to sell this thing. It's always been my goal to keep this thing forever. And as you can imagine, because of that, I've obviously had some long-term power goals with this car. Yeah, it has been already tuned and it just had some simple bolt-ons like full exhaust and headers and some random other things, intake and whatnot. And it was making 290 wheel. So definitely faster than stock, but nothing crazy, of course. But it is exactly everything that I wanted and I was lucky to have. And so, as you can imagine, over time, I obviously had bigger power goals in mind and I've always wanted to modify this thing further and make it faster. And I understand the limitations of the STi. I understand that, the stock motor is only capable of pushing so much before it's going to have issues. And I'm kind of at that point where it's I've had the car for so long, I'm knowing that I'm going to keep it forever. And I've always had bigger power goals in mind. So why would I spend all this money and do all this work and have a stock motor in the end? So ultimately, that's kind of answers why I haven't been in a rush over the last couple of years to jump on things. It's quite expensive to doing so. The breakdown that I kind of just gave you guys with them doing with the previous quote, and it's going to probably double that cost, if not just a little bit more than double. And if you couldn't already guess, I'm looking at more of a built short block. IAG is definitely a popular choice amongst Subaru enthusiasts, it seems. And so there did happen to be a closed deck short block that they offered that I was looking into getting. And my thoughts were pairing that up with my OEM heads, so getting them sent off to the shop and doing any other modifications or things that I deem necessary along the way. So there's certain parts, like something I never did was the oil pickup. Obviously, I know Killer B is seems like a very reputable brand. Oil tank and the pickup and baffle. Upgrading, obviously, the head gaskets. I was thinking about doing the, I think, slightly thicker Tomei head gaskets. Obviously, the ARP head studs. And anything else. I was actually going to say, this is where I wanted to like open things up to the comments below. I am no expert when it comes to any of this stuff by any means. I've never built an engine before. I've never had to. Like I just said, I've owned this car for 12 or 13 years and it has been so good to me. Besides just like your routine maintenance, I haven't had any issues with this thing. And so this is the first time where I'm in this position. And if anyone out there has some advice or recommendations or other parts that I should even consider, I mean, like even things like the clutch. I know I upgraded the clutch to like nothing crazy. It was like a stage 1 Exetti clutch or something. So could handle a little bit more power over stock, but that was even like 7 or 8 years ago when I had that installed. So it's probably time while the engine's out to throw a new clutch in there as well, especially if I have bigger power goals down the line. But yeah, by all means, let me know if there's anything else that I should consider upgrading along the way. Especially while the engine's out, it's just, as much as it can get really expensive, sometimes I also feel like when you're in this position, you might as well upgrade certain things. So obviously I haven't touched on everything in this video. More or less wanted to just update everybody on where things are at with the car and what my plans are with the car. Moving forward, that's going to be in future videos. I definitely want to discuss, specifics, specifically, what short block I'm going with and all the other parts. The whole plan, even in this video series, is why not try and, I guess, show you guys that. So document all that. So when I go to actually purchase all these parts, I will take you guys through everything, show you what I end up spending on this. And like I said, so if you guys can help me out along the way, that would be hugely appreciated. And yeah, I can get everything I need to ordered so that when the shop is ready, they can get my car fixed. And yeah, we can finally try and get this thing back on the road. I am going to show you guys the engine bay here right away because the shop actually did pull the engine about a year ago. It was like in December, so we're coming up on a year. No, over a year. I can't even remember. They pulled the engine a while ago, and so I will show you the engine bay and how it kind of looks right now, empty. The shop has my engine sitting. The shop has my engine sitting in their shop, but they haven't pulled anything apart. So the engine's out, but they have not actually separated the heads. So this is currently where we sit. Just a very empty engine bay. This was the reservoir tank that I was talking about. Yeah. So like I said, over a year ago, the shop had pulled the engine, and then as soon as they pulled the engine, I just basically got the car towed home. Obviously, I can keep it a lot cleaner in my own garage. So that is that. Like I've already kind of said earlier in the video, my plan is to turn this into a little bit of a series here as much as I can. And one of the future videos that I had in mind of making was cleaning out this engine bay. Because it is empty, what better time to clean the whole engine bay than now? And before you put a fresh new engine in, it's like, I think it would feel pretty awesome. Let me know, I guess, in the comments if you guys are interested in seeing something like that. I think I touched on everything that I wanted to say in this video. When it comes time to placing the order for the parts, I do want to start ordering those hopefully in the near future. Definitely make sure to subscribe so you stay notified when I post future videos regarding this car. Throughout this whole process, I'm going to try my best to film it all. So if you guys enjoyed this video, stay tuned for the next one. And if there's any other videos that you guys would like to see, let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to make videos on that. I mean, half the time I think just having ideas is nice. So, and yeah, we'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.